Hi guys, welcome to the Facebook group. If you are new here, welcome. I'm very excited to have you. And if you're not new here, maybe this is your first training that you've ever clicked on, and this is a big one. So I'm really excited to share it with you. Now, I do want to make sure that all of our free resources and freebies that we're kind of giving out are relevant to you. So before you dive too deep into this training, just give a listen to the first minute or so just to make sure that this training is relevant for you. And if it's not, hey, guess what? That is a-okay. We have hundreds of free trainings within HO Fit. So just reach out to me on the Facebook group and just, let's start a conversation, because any freebie that I give you, I just want to make sure it's the most relevant for you and what's going to get you to your goals. I don't want to overwhelm you with all of this unnecessary information. So again, let's check relevance and just let me know if I can plug you into a training that is more beneficial for you and where you're at right now. So in this training, guys, we're going to cover what are macros, our philosophy at HO Fit around macros and flexible dieting, why tracking macros is even important, and why it might be beneficial for you, how to do a food audit, which is the first step of tracking macros, and adjustments to get started after you do that food audit. So now, before we dive in, I've connected with a lot of people over the years, and some women have tried tracking macros, but they haven't really understood the goal behind tracking macros. Like, where should my numbers be? Are the numbers that this online calculator has given me, are they even accurate? Are they relevant? Are they in alignment with my goals? And furthermore, after I, hit these macros for 4 or 5 weeks, are they even relevant for me at that point? And so we're going to dive into a little bit of that today. But again, this is a very, very common question that we get. And if you don't really know the importance of tracking macros, how to set your macros, what you're really looking for, what your goals should be, I can totally understand where that frustration would come from. So again, if you aren't quite ready for macronutrients or tracking or flexible dieting because you don't even know what macronutrients are, then I would prefer for you to comment down below food list, and I will send over our free grocery guide. And this breaks down foods per macronutrient category. So you will see all the protein sources, all the carb sources, all the sugars, all the fat sources. Alcohol is another macronutrient that we won't cover in this training, but it will the food list or the grocery guide will break down foods for you per category, and hopefully that will start to connect some dots for you and it make a little bit more sense. So don't be afraid if macros are a little overwhelming. Comment below food list and we'll get you plugged into a relevant resource. So first, let's start with macronutrients, or macros for short. So macros are the essential, meaning that we must consume them. We must consume them. We must get them from an outside source. Our body does not just produce macronutrients from the inside. These are essential nutrients that our body needs in relatively large amounts. Now, macronutrients come in 3 different categories. We have protein, we have carbs, and we have fats. Now, alcohol, like I mentioned, is a separate macronutrient, but we're not going to cover that in this training. So today we're just going to go over protein, carbs, and fats, and a little bit more about tracking macros. So if you think about macros, so macro big, we need these in large amounts. And this is where we get our energy from. We get energy from food, and it's in the form of protein, carbs, and fats. When you think of micronutrients are within macronutrients. So think small amounts. We need these in relatively small amounts, but they are still essential. We have to consume them from outside sources. This would be our vitamins, minerals, and kind of like that profile of what we're consuming. Macros large, micros small. Now, each macronutrient has a specific caloric value. So again, this is something that I've done. I've connected with a lot of women, and maybe they have tracked calories before, but they haven't quite tracked macros. They don't really understand macros. They don't really understand where macros come from. And this will hopefully connect some dots for y'all. So carbohydrates and protein come with 4 calories per gram. Now, fats are a little bit more calorically dense. So those come with 9 calories per gram. So when you're looking at the back of a food label and you see, okay, 20 grams of protein, right? 20 grams of protein. 20 times 4 is 80 calories. Does that make sense? So if you see on the back of a food label, hey, this food source has 20 grams of protein, Simple math, right? 20 grams times 4, because it's 4 calories per gram, equals 90 calories of protein from that food source. So when you're looking at the back of a food label, you see the total caloric value up at the top, and then what do you see underneath it? The breakdown of that. And you see fats, you see carbs, you see protein, and then again, you see the micronutrient values of vitamins and minerals on there too. So when you're looking at that caloric total, it's just a little math game, right? So hopefully that connects some dots for you guys. Now, do we need all 3 macronutrients for a healthy lifestyle? In short, hell yes. I'm going to put hell yes here. Each macronutrient serves a very, very important role in the body and helps us feel, function, and perform at our best. Now, there are some arguments around keto. Keto can be very longevity focused for some clients. Once your body turns over to running off of ketones or fat, there are some benefits of that, but long-term benefits, sustainability, and overall health and performance, strength, recovery, all of those things, it is best when you are consuming all 3 macronutrients, because again, macronutrients, they are essential nutrients that our body needs in large amounts. So to think that we could cut out all fats from our diet or all carbs from our diet and be very successful doing that, it's not likely. So how does tracking macros fit into our HO Fit philosophy, and why they are important in the first place? So tracking macronutrients allows us to be relatively precise with our daily totals while still providing a ton of flexibility within what's making up those food groups. So for instance, say if your coach programs you out, hey, for meal 2, I want you to hit 30 grams of protein. That's the total. So that is our daily total. We get to be very precise with our daily or our meal totals. Hey, I want you to hit 30 grams of protein for meal 2 and 3. But what is filling up that macronutrient category or that food group is flexible. So we don't care if you're filling that protein with chicken, with steak, with shrimp, with tilapia, with cod, with salmon, with egg whites, with beef jerky, with, a protein shake. Whatever protein source you want to choose to hit your daily total, that's what matters. So again, it allows us to be very precise with giving clients those daily totals and what's going to be in alignment with their fat loss goals or hormone optimization goals or performance and strength goals. It allows us to be very precise with that goal total while also giving you and helping you build that autonomy within your choices. If we were to just say, hey, you have to eat chicken. What if a client doesn't like chicken? What if one day chicken's not available? What if, there's a chicken recall and we can't pick up chicken, right? What if you're out to eat and the only protein source on the menu is steak? When we are telling clients exactly what to eat and how to eat it, it's taking that autonomy and self-efficacy away from the client, and it's basically having you rely on the coach forever. And that's not what we're here for. We are here to give you the tools and to encourage you to build this autonomy, to build this self-efficacy with this lifestyle, and then fly the coop, graduate at some point. We don't want clients for forever. It'd be great for our pocketbooks, but it's not great for my ego. If I'm not truly helping clients be successful with this lifestyle without me, I am not a coach, right? That's a concierge service, and that's not what we're about. So again, it allows us to be relatively precise with the daily totals, but allow for that flexibility to come within food choices. For most of us, we are not going for a skinnier, softer version of ourselves. We're not really going for a skinny fat look. We're looking to be more toned and lean, have our muscles pushing through our skin, and obviously feel and function at our best. If we are just looking at calories, that is really saying we don't care where the weight loss is coming from. It can be muscle, it can be water, it can be fat, that'd be cool. But when we're getting very specific with macronutrients, that is where we can really hone in on muscle retention, strength, performance, hormone optimization. So when we're looking at the composition of calories, which is macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats, it's just taking that one extra step versus just tracking calories. Again, calories equals skinny fat, doesn't really matter where the weight loss is coming from. Macronutrients equals fat loss and compositional changes in the right way. So think of it like that. By getting precise, I think this is what we're talking about now. By getting precise on how much of each macronutrient we are consuming, we are not only able to manage the total caloric intake, because we get the total caloric intake from our macros, right? But we also are able to achieve more specific goals around optimal performance, body composition, less body fat, more muscle, hormone and gut health optimization, and a lot more. It also teaches you about what's in your food from a macronutrient compositional standpoint. I cannot tell you how many times this has happened where I used to think I was eating like super healthy, or clients used to think they were eating like so healthy, but then when they actually see what they're eating, it turns out that, you know, some things have way more sugar, way more calorically dense. They have an insane amount of fat when they thought that this was like a relatively healthy food. So it just teaches you about what is in your food. And then with that information, you can decide, like, is this a food that I might need to, you know, incorporate that 20% of the time? Or is this a food that really has no effect and it's in alignment with my goals and I can eat it freely? So when you tap into how a specific quantity or quality of food makes you feel, you can begin to further that intuition and tap into the body's needs. So if you think about, you know, if you were to eat 100 grams of carbs right before training, like I'm talking right before training, that is probably going to sit super heavy on your stomach. But unless you were to see, I mean, yes, you can tap into like, wow, that food made me feel like shit. But when you can see a number behind it, then you can really then you can really start to refine and fine tune, like, okay, I feel best strength and performance wise, like even mental clarity wise, on around 30 to 40 grams pre-workout, rather than, you know, neglecting my food all day and then like binging on 100 grams of carbs right before I go to training. So if you can like put that number around like what you feel you are best at, again, it can just further build that intuition, further build that autonomy within your choices. And then hopefully one day you don't have to track macros forever. Isn't that the goal? I mean, some clients are very type A. They have no problem tracking for every day of their life. That's personally not me. But I had to track macros for 3 or 4 years of my life to really, and it wasn't all day, every day, right? Like I went through seasons of being all in and then seasons of, you know, relaxing and falling back on structure and systems. But it really does just open up so much opportunity for you, having a season, at least 6 to 12 months of like solid tracking and just getting to know what's in your food and how you feel on it. So getting started with a food audit or diet recall. The first step of anything, if you're wanting to change anything, the first step is bringing some awareness to your current habits. So if your first step is to scrap everything you're currently doing and totally embed all new habits, new numbers, new routines, it's probably not going to be something that you can stick to for very long. So to start, the first 5 to 10 days, you will log everything you eat and drink in MyFitnessPal. You could also do this by keeping a food log in your notes section on your iPhone throughout the day, and then just use 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the evening to go back and log all of your food. That seems a little bit more reactively than proactively, but there needs to be some intention, like after you eat a meal or before you eat a meal, you plug it into MyFitnessPal. Now, it's really, really important that you don't change anything you're doing during this time. You need those logs to be accurate representations of your current habits. So what I see happen is like, okay, got to track some data around it. People will like scrap out their morning donut run or their Mountain Dew first thing in the morning. Like, no, keep everything exactly how you were doing it. This is simply to bring some awareness around your current habits, good, bad, ugly, everything in between. So once you come face to face with that data, then you will be able to make some adjustments gradually to make sure it's sustainable and of course in alignment with your goals. Again, if you just like jump ship of all of your new routines and habits to embed some new ones, it's just not going to be a sustainable approach. You have to build momentum with any habit that you want to be sustainable. And again, find something that you are going to enjoy. So this is really important, and it's definitely noteworthy here. Consistency alone is enough for most people to see progress. you will likely find during your food audit that some days you're eating 1,300 calories, some days you're eating 2,000 calories, some days you're eating well over that, especially if you are someone who incorporates alcohol over the weekends. Like, you can expect sugar and carb count to be pretty high up there, and that is a-okay. There's no judgment, right? Like, this is simply giving you a baseline understanding and an average of where you sit on a weekly basis. Now, some protocol adjustments or kind of goals to consider here. Protein considerations, I like to stick protein, and this is, accurate. HO Fit, we all do this. All of our coaches do this. So we like to have protein considerations 1 gram per pound of lean muscle mass or goal body weight. So say you weigh 180 pounds, you do have to be realistic with this. So maybe like you would love to get down to 150 pounds. And I also want you guys to think about macronutrients as ranges. So like, if this person is 180 pounds, their goal weight is 150 pounds, you can probably stick protein around 140 to 150. That would be a good goal. If you were going off of lean muscle mass, maybe they're sitting at like 120, 130, you can still set it around there. Now, I also want you guys to think about, like, when you're doing this food audit, if you see like, fuck, I've only been eating 80 grams of protein every day, then maybe don't jump your protein up to 150 in one go. Like, maybe your goal is 100 grams of protein, then 110 grams of protein, then 120 grams of protein, and just work your way up, again, building that momentum around this new skill that you're trying to develop. So that's the protein considerations. And then during that food audit, also see where your average caloric intake fell. So again, maybe some days were 1,200, maybe some days were 2,000, maybe your average was around 1,600 or 1,700. I think that range, 100 calorie range, is beautiful. So maybe your goal of protein is 150 grams of protein or 140 grams of protein. If you want to range 140 to 150, that's only 10 grams. That's 10 times 4, 40 calorie range, right? Like, if that is your goal of protein, and then you also know my goal for calories is 16 to 1,700, then start there. Give yourself a little bit of a range and allow the ratios of carbs and fats to be a little bit flexible while still hitting a solid protein and calorie range. I think that is a phenomenal place to start. So again, aim to be flexible with those ratios. Going off of protein and calories will get you in the right direction. We do have some like meal timing considerations and macronutrient distribution considerations if you are looking to like optimize performance, strength, recovery, gym stuff. But most importantly, and for most of us, following a protein and calorie goal or range is plenty to get you started and seeing a lot of progress on the front end. So if you would like some help on setting up your individual macros or adjusting them specifically to your goals and body, I want you to comment back on this Facebook video, help, and we will be in touch. So like I said at the beginning, guys, we have literally hundreds of trainings within HO Fit going over recipes, different resources, eating out, cooking while at home, crock pot meals, meal timing, macro distribution. We have training in the gym, training at home, hormone optimization, gut health. Literally, there are so many resources, and we are truly here to help you become the best version of yourself. So don't be afraid. If you're already in this Facebook community, you've already raised your hand once, you've already opted in and said like, hey, I would love some help. I would love to be connected. Don't let that stop here. If you guys are here, you're here for a reason, and we are here, and our reason is here to help you. So truly, comment below help, or comment below, what was the other one? Food list, and we are more than happy to send over a grocery guide or whatever we need to do. If you do, comment back help. We'll probably just start some conversation with you, figure out what free resource is going to be the most relevant for you and where you're currently at, and then we are more than happy to send that over for you for free. So if you guys have any questions on how to get started tracking macros or how to make adjustments, or if your macros that you've come up with yourself are even accurate for you, don't be afraid to ask for help. I am always here.